doesn't feel like the best. I'm not sure if there's something better. I mean, obviously, Cassandra is a fairly hard champ to pick into, and the Gwen was banned away. But it just feels like you're not really... I wouldn't be super happy with it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I don't think this draft is particularly either way, and so far the Jaxes we have seen haven't looked all that good. Not that they've looked particularly bad, but it just seems like it's not really getting done what it used to in many ways, and I think a lot of that could be just losing out on that Divine Sunderer. Gave Jax quite a lot of power in the past, and the build path now might not be as easy to sort of get pressure in your own lane, and we'll see how it interacts, especially against the Cassante. Last year, obviously, we saw that matchup many times, and if this matchup goes any bit different, then maybe we'll have a bit of an idea on the current power of Jax.
Yeah, I'd love to see the Titanic build with Jax as well. I think it might be better in competitive games. Although this might not be the game for it. I feel like the damage on Frank is fairly low this game. Right, you've got the sustained DPS from Eminem, you've got burst from Jimmy, but outside of that, there isn't a whole lot, so maybe you need to kind of prop that up a little bit with some damage of your own. Somewhat interestingly here is the Aerie on the Orianna. So sometimes you just see the phase rush into Akali because it is quite hard to push her out of lane. But the Aerie gonna try and make it happen. Does allow you to keep Jimmy lower on health, which is kind of important because it stops him from being able to get into any of those early skirmishes.
For sure. It is exciting to see, but I mean, I'm excited to see Jimmy back on the Akali. Always very exciting to see him play these playmaking type mid lane champions. As looks like Jiang just getting a few auto attacks, actually quite a few auto attacks, and this should actually have a pretty big impact on how this lane goes. Starting lane missing 25% health never feels good.
No, this is a bit of a rough start. It's a solid start from both sides, and let's pay attention to what happens to bot lane this game, because one ward has been invested. They still have one, importantly. So that was Jimmy's ward invested onto that Raptor camp. Eminem still has his, and importantly as well, Kongwei, he's playing a champ that cannot jump the wall. So if he ever were to go bot, it would just be in that standard bushes. Instead, actually going to go Raptors into the top side, it looks like. So he's going to want to end his path on bot lane a bit later on.
Yeah, I think Nocturne, not really a champ that you're too scared of being ganked by until level 6, because all he can really do is run at you.
Yeah.
Whereas when you have Rel, you can run at them fast, you can jump, and then there is a lot of follow-up damage, a lot of CC. But with the Nocturne, really don't have access to that. You really do want to just farm, hit level 6 as soon as possible, and then find impact that way. And in many ways, that doesn't feel so good against what the team comp Frank has. If they are able to get there safely and are able to find a successful level 6 from Nocturne, it can be good. But allowing Jimmy to safely get to level 6, as well as Jiang clearly having his way up in the top side, could be to their detriment. Gemini now looking for an invade, but top side will be already taken by Kongwei, so he's going to come out empty-handed, and Kongwei should feel very good about this.
He's actually pinging for a dive onto top lane.
Should hold this wave, and Hanabi's going to be in trouble. Is only level 2, so shouldn't have access to that unstoppable. Jiang actually going to get creep blocked, forced to flash away, and Hanabi survives the gank, loses flash, but is traded, and he will be able to pick up all the CS.
Now that is a little unfortunate. Feels like there might have been a better way to execute that, but I think you're still pretty happy. You are going to be able to deny a little bit of CS under the tower, and Jax losing the flash probably isn't the biggest deal at this point. Gemini maybe wants to alleviate some pressure mid, but I think Jimmy might be too low to follow anything up. That being said, he is far up in the lane.
Yeah, Minji awfully far up. Likely to get away here, although Gemini should be able to find some damage, which will help out Akali. Finds a lot of damage, actually. Aftershock will be procced, and Minji going to have to run away now from full HP, half HP.
Ooh.
Kongwei is in trouble. Bot lanes both will be here, but Eminem's finding a lot of damage. Dark Passage comes through for that speed buff, and so does block out of that slow. Now Wako does arrive. 3v3 down the bot side jungle. It does seem to favor Frank, and forward he goes. Knockup does come through. The crash down will land onto Kongwei, who does flash out. Kaiwing chasing. Fair coming up, but Gemini's been left to his own devices. His first blood here to Wako on the Xayah. Does have lethal tempo here as Eminem, but a little bit too dangerous to keep following on, so it's just the first blood.
Yeah, first blood going on to Wako. Pretty happy with that, you'd have to say. We've seen what Wako can do on this Xayah before, and I think Xayah, while not the strongest ADC on the patch, once you get your 2 items, she's definitely in contention still, right? Once you get that Kraken Devourer, she is online. I think the reason you've seen a lot less Xayah is because some of those lethality ADCs seem to be very, very strong. An initial engage here. Slightly goes wide from Frank. They don't find the knock-up. They don't manage to get any real damage dealt. They've used a lot of cooldowns, and Kongwei's still sitting on half HP. They try and get a bit more aggressive. The flash comes out. But the problem is I think Eminem doesn't... Oh, he actually does have Q. I thought he didn't have it, but he does. Just can't quite close the distance. And so it is instead Wako that picks it up in a somewhat one-sided skirmish by the end of it.
Yeah, Q doesn't connect with anyone. The piercing arrow from Eminem, not able to connect, so... That's a lot of missing damage when you are playing the Varus, and now it will be Void Grub started by Kongwei. He's going to concede that bottom scuttle, but I think this is absolutely worth it.
Yeah, and I think, already with this start, this could be a very different game, especially for Kongwei, because what he has now is, while he himself doesn't have a lead, he has a lane to play around, which critically last game, he didn't really. That place was probably through Minji's Azir, but... The Orianna was just playing too safe, couldn't really find anything. Gemini maybe looking around mid.
And she has flash. Oh, Shuriken doesn't connect. It's going to be a hard gank to make work, but showing presence should help at least Jimmy and get this wave in, although right now certainly is zoned away from it.
And Wako, he's getting pretty aggressive. He's still got that red buff as well as the tier 2 boots. It shouldn't feel like he's under threat at all, especially after seeing Gemini in that mid lane. Ooh, low HP.
Yeah, Shockwave does come out. Perfect execution to survive, and Jimmy is now going to have to recall. Does not have teleport available for him, so he will be losing at least one minion wave, and as well as the 3 Void Grubs, there is a potential for Minji to pick up a plate here. Although Jimmy has stuck around. He is very, very low.
Yeah, he's going to probably just have to give up a wave. I think he's too low to stay here at all. And that could be Minji maybe taking a plate here if he wanted to get ambitious. Yeah, he's going to walk up, I think. Oh no, starts his recall. In the meantime, in the bot side, J-Team's bot lane having a much better start than they did previously. They're up a little bit of CS. And obviously have that first blood gold onto Wako, which is very, very important for him getting those 2 items quicker. And important as well is that Gemini hasn't managed to speed up the game at all. Obviously didn't get any Void Grubs, and the Dragon hasn't been done at all yet. Gemini is found here. There are all sums on the J-Team bot lane, so they should be safe.
Battle Dance was used here by Enso, so doesn't have a way out going forward, but...
Wako,
yeah,
there is
Wako,
no flash on this Akali, or sorry, no ult on this Akali.
Yeah, but Wako getting very, very low. He's going to have to flash away from that piercing arrow. The Shuriken does connect here onto Minji, and Jimmy's going to find himself a freebie onto Wako.
Yeah,
Ghost pop by Eminem. He's trying to find the damage.
That felt like a pretty big misplay, I think, in multiple different ways. So at the very end there, I think Wako, he greeds his flash for a very, very long time, and it ends up costing him a lot of health. Also think, at the very start of that, probably could have just walked out if Enso and him went the same way. They kind of split up after that little tri-brush there, but I'm not sure. Maybe we'll get a replay of it. I think they could have just gotten out there. Instead, a very important kill goes over to Jimmy and Zakali, and that could be a hard champ to deal with for the side of J-Team, especially at any of these early skirmishes while that Xayah flash is still down.
Absolutely. Kongwei top side. Jung feels fairly safe here. As long as he doesn't use that counter-strike, there shouldn't really be a way for him to be dove. Yeah, J-Team will not look for it. So Jung heavily farming up here. Got himself a very sizable lead in the top side. So all things considered, while Wako picked up the first blood gold, awfully even. And Jimmy really a hidden gold despite what was happening to him in the early stages of the game.
Yeah, pretty important, I think, for Akali to get those kills. Or that one kill, as we mentioned, because you are expecting to fall down CS to the Orianna, but skirmishing is really where she excels. So getting on the board very, very early is definitely a good feeling.
Storm Surge first, you reckon?
Probably, yeah. I think it will be.
Yeah, it's very easy to get that 35% health threshold as Akali. It's kind of just one Q and an auto attack.
Pretty much. Minji is going to clear out a little bit of this vision. I'm honestly not too surprised that I haven't seen Dragon started up yet, because I don't think Gemini has the priority to do it. And Kongwei has always prioritized his own tempo, really, over the Dragons and stuff, especially as a champion like Nocturne. Obviously, you have to get that 6 as quick as possible. You want to be putting your camps on cooldown, and has a pretty decent lead for himself in the jungle already.
Yeah, Jung, really impressed with this guy's laning. Getting the better of Hanabi twice in a row now. Looks like he will be going for Triforce first in this occasion. Other side, though, assume Sunfire will be completed by Hanabi eventually.
These Void Grubs are up, and this would be all 6 picked up if J-Team can get them.
Yeah,
that being said,
allowed to?
Yes, I think they should. Their support's on bot side, whereas Rakan actually came up, and so he walked all the way out of base just to secure this. In the meantime, Wako's being denied a little bit of CS on bot. Looks like he's doing the Krugs there on the minimap just to maintain a little bit of gold for himself. And I think, in my opinion, these Void Grubs won't be as effective as they were in the first game. Obviously, still a nice pickup, but I think they're not as ahead. I don't think they'll be able to just freely hit towers with this. At the same time, now trying to walk into that bot side river. Maybe want to set their eyes on that dragon. Jimmy takes a lot of damage here. I like the ult used early by Minji because it just makes Jimmy's job so difficult. Might actually go down. Oh, so close.
Very close. Minji does get awfully low here too, though. And Jimmy is staying around. I actually think Minji does have to be careful.
Yeah, there is still flash on Minji, though, so he might look for something aggressive. Instead, it looks like he's going to recall. Kongwei maybe trying to find something on bot. Hasn't used the paranoia just yet. Feels like there isn't an easy lane to gank because obviously bot lane has the Tahm Kench. Akali in mid lane very slippery. And the Jack's just honestly winning top lane hard enough that I don't think he's gankable.
For sure. So Kongwei going to be returning to base. Gemini's on the bottom side of the map here, so a potential angle for Frank to look for something. Doesn't seem like bot lane is awfully gankable either for the side of J-Team, but it is just going to be Gemini returning back to his own jungle, and things will remain fairly calm for the time being. Sork boots, though, picked up here for Jimmian. Makes his lane a little bit easier. Is able to dodge out of a couple of more of these Orianna Qs as the lane continues on.
That would be nice. TP is invested into top by Hanabi, and I wonder if the Jax will match because he's pretty ahead in terms of CS currently. So he might opt to trade a little bit of that CS away just to maintain the TP advantage and maybe start looking at some of those dragons. He stays a while, and I'm not too sure what he's trying to achieve with this. Maybe it's just close to Triforce or something?
Yeah, you'd think so.
Well, vision cleared around mid. This is going to allow Jimmian to feel much better, as Minji should have to play a little bit safer with some of that vision gone.
And lots of pings.
Oh, actually, maybe they've found
Lockup
Kaiwing here.
Land. Kaiwing will flash away, also using that heal. Gemini does follow up with the stun. It's going to be Summoner's lost by Kaiwing, but the Rakan ulti here to Dragon might just be more impactful. Jiang now getting all out, but will be able to get away. Grandmaster's Might, of course, was used by Jiang on this Jax.
Yeah, you should be able to see us this wave, and then can probably just play for the base TP. There is no one that can come up here and dive him. And I wonder if Hanabi just resets. Yeah, I think he has to. Otherwise, Jax will TP back, and then he'll be in a very rough spot. In the meantime, though, J-Team starting this on bot side. Remember, Jax has the TP advantage. So if this goes on too long...
Yeah, and a very good ward for him. And comes the Magnet Storm. It's a fantastic connection. It hits 3. Minji very, very low. It is a nice shockwave, but it's too little too late as Jimmian comes in and cleans himself up. At least one kill. Goes back to his Shroud, and now attention perhaps going to go towards this Dragon. Well, it's not started yet.
Yeah. I think you've got to wonder a little bit, J-Team starting that up, because they didn't have TP advantage. Now, admittedly, the Jax didn't actually impact this fight. He came too late. But they even just lost this straight up in the 4v4. And a lot of that, I think, is just because, well, I suppose Frank played a little better, but I also feel like they are just stronger in the skirmish anyway, right? I don't think that Hexplate was there yet for Nocturne. And Orianna didn't have the Ludens either. So it felt like components. And, you know, J-Team, they're playing a comp that needs those one-item spikes in order to contest. And they just didn't have them.
Yeah.
It's weird. I think they should maybe even be playing towards 2-item spikes, right? Playing for your Kraken, Navori, Zaya to really take over this game. Instead, I don't know, I feel like they felt they were forced to do it, but I really don't think they were.
Yeah, with that kill, Jimmian now on 2 for himself. And
went for the Proto Belt.
Gold is evened up. Yeah, has gone for the Proto Belt. I guess that gives you a little bit more mobility. Yeah. Allows you to pressure Orianna perhaps more often.
Yeah, I think as well, it does open up some of the other builds. So some if you're going the Proto Belt build, it opens up to Zhonya second, which can be quite good because the extra armor, obviously, with the health is synergistic. So that can be nice, especially against the comp, with, say, Nocturne Ori, and you can Zhonya's those ults. Alternatively, something we've seen a few times is the Rocket Belt into Lich Bane, which I think is actually kind of underrated. Gives you a lot of side lane pressure and still gives you a lot of burst. You really do need that extra health from Rocket Belt, though, to make it work because it's a pretty greedy build, honestly. I'm excited. Let's see what he goes for. This is J-Team picking up a Herald. Gold is still pretty even at this point, and the Herald is immediately dropped to come top. I wonder how much of that is just Kongwei wanting to, get back to farming. It's going to probably break this top tower. This should be gold picked up by Minji, which feels pretty good. A nice gold pick up. Can they go for more? They're going to try.
Yeah, certainly looks like it. Paranoia, everything really is up and available. Minji's flash being the major cooldown that is not. Gemini now did complete that dragon while Herald was being taken and has now arrived at the play. Jimmy with teleport available stays bot, but there's going to be an inner tower also going down thanks to really what was the Void Mites, the Void Grubs, as well as the Rift Shield there. Are they going to be able to get out? Looks like everyone should be fine. Jimmy did get a lot of gold for himself on the bottom side, though, but it is a lot of objectives as well as gold picked up here for the side of J-Team.
Yeah. That is a now 1k gold lead for J-Team. Feeling decent about that. There are some pretty important spikes completed here, though. Was the Bork now picked up by Eminem. And as you mentioned, a lot of gold going on to Jimmy's Akali. And it looks like he's just going to be going for the Shadow Flame second. So probably just build the Proto Belt for the extra mobility, as you mentioned. There are 2 range champs that he needs to kill, so can make that a little easier to keep on top of them.
For sure. Movement speed that it grants if you are able to connect with the active also feels pretty nice. Gives you a little bit more sticking power. Although Akali not too bad at sticking to a champion once she's on them.
The Jimmy is forced to clear out this bot wave. Probably won't be able to get priority too much. At least until his jungler comes a bit further down. Though Gemini, he is trying to re-enter the river. Needs to be a little careful here. I think he should be able to get out. I mean, Rel is very tanky, but Kongwei waiting in the wings, and there is bot priority as well. But he does make it out.
Scampers away. Now, bit of a lull period, of course. There are no objectives to be fought over, and so both teams just happy having their AD carries and having their mids farm up in their respected lanes. Top side as well, just constant beating against a brick wall, really. But it is constantly Jiang getting more and more ahead in terms of the CS. And so really got eyes on Jiang to have his first big impact in a game here. He certainly has equipped himself to be able to do so. And he's got a good team comp to do it against as well.
Yeah. He's been doing well for himself. Pretty sizable lead. Once he can actually start hitting towers, we'll feel a lot better. I'm not sure if he's strong enough yet to do it just because the threat of Nocturne can be pretty scary.
Yeah, Kasane can take you for a bit of a joyride.
Yeah, a lot of pings around topside, so maybe Kongwei will just clear up one of these waves. Instead, looks like it will be left to Ori. On the other side, though, it is just resets coming in for Frank, so really just not a whole lot happening. Probably just want to get some more gold together before the second drag. And I feel like this lull period might favor J-Team, just because, again, it feels like once the Xayah hits the Kraken Navori, that's when she's really strong. You would kind of expect that Frank should win fights at the moment. I think the one-item Akali and the one-item Varus should be stronger than their counterparts.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Akali is building Storm Surge, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Take me through. If you're in this game, what were you building on Akali?
I would have gone for the Lich Bane.
Oh, yeah?
I got to be honest. Yeah. I think if you're going the Proto Belt, I would have committed for the Lich Bane. But I think the Storm Surge Shadow Flame might have been the best build. But honestly, it doesn't matter too much, I don't think. You probably don't have one-shot potential here anyway, and so you do just want to kind of... The thing is, you don't actually need to kill Wako, you just need to get him out of the fight, pretty much. So if you get him down to 40% or 30%, it doesn't make a huge difference at that point, as long as he's gone.
And how about Orianna? Because I think, at least in my opinion, from the new items, I think the worst new item is possibly Dawncore, but I think Luden's Companion is very close second.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure the Ori itemization in this game is is pretty suboptimal. I think that Seraphs is a lot better on Orianna in general. Oh, hold that thought as Minji. He's stuck on the tower, gets solo killed immediately by Jimmy. And
here comes the Magnet Storm. It's not going to connect, and Kaiwing will find the knock-up onto Kongwei, but it shouldn't result in much as the rest of Frank did decide to turn around. There is no objective just yet, but in 20 seconds it will be the Dragon. There is teleport for Minji, so he will be able to attend this fight. And importantly, Jimmy and using that ult means a lot weaker when it comes to those skirmishes.
Yeah, I think Frank should be able to delay it long enough, though, for the Akali ult to come back up. Alternatively, the Dragon isn't even that important for them. But coming back to the Orianimization, because she did just die in the side lane, having the Seraphs is almost a must as an immobile. Ooh, Wako is maybe being looked at. The Seraphs is almost a must, I think, as an immobile champ up against an assassin, because there's so much burst in the game that you just can't survive without it. That's just a no HP Orianna, has no defensive stats whatsoever, and so it's so difficult for her to survive. But here they are, Minji TPing in. J-Team, they want to contest for this Dragon. I think if you're J-Team, if you could start this immediately before Akali gets ult, that's probably your best chance to do this. Instead, though, it's going to be delayed long enough, and that allows Jimmy to get a position. If he can get a flank, that would be even better.
For sure, and it is a 4v5. Hanabi does have teleport available. Knockup comes through, crash down, Enso very low, and Jimmy on the top side will be taking out Minji. Or will he? Minji is able to get away. Very, very close, and without teleport now, this will just be a straight up 4v5. Still very high in health as Jimmy on the Akali. Obviously, losing that ult means a little bit weaker, but just being a whole champ up feels very good. I think any more mistakes like that, if Minji dies, Baron is a real opportunity here for the side of Frank. Of course, having the on-hit Varus means that you have one of the highest Baron damages in the game.
For sure. I think it was pretty well played by Enso there to save Minji. Ooh. So this was before the fight even started. The flash... Oh, okay, so the flash was forced out. And then I suppose Jimmy abused the flash advantage just to come grab a nice kill. But you can see here, down a level, again, no defensive stats whatsoever. Minji's almost dead without even the R2 execution, right? That overkilled so hard. But back to live as Minji once again is just caught in the side lane. Yeah. And I think his flash wasn't quite up then. I believe it just came up. Honestly, though, I'm not sure it would have made a difference.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jax is able to get it. The Shuriken was already landed onto Minji anyway, so it definitely was going to go down. I think
things aren't looking good for him. I remember this was first pick Ori, wasn't it? Yeah, it was.
Yep, first pick Ori. And I mean, we're seeing the benefit here for Frank of putting in Jimmy, and I think if you had Pretender here, not likely to pick up the Orianna. I mean, sorry, the Akali.
Yeah.
Not to say that Pretender couldn't have done well on one of his champions, of course, but Jimmy and certainly one of the more proficient assassin players in the region.
We'll see how much. It looks like he just got TP'd on. Pretty unfortunate here because you really do want to grab whatever farm you can, but with just in the nature of a losing team, you're going to have wards behind you, and unfortunately that was just punished by that TP flank. And it also feels like J-Team aren't strong enough to really punish that TP being down, so unfortunately just another pretty costly death for Minji. And you wonder, at this point, when you're this far behind in the Ori, it is going to be very hard to stabilize. But I think, again, a lot of this, the greed of not having Phase Rush, of not having Seraphs, is costing him now down 2 levels and going to have a very hard time team fighting.
One thing that can be said, though, is because of the build that Minji's opting into, especially once Storm Surge is completed, if you do find a really big team fight ultimate, it can swing the game very, very hard.
Yeah.
But that is not the easiest thing to do, and even if you find a good ultimate, as long as Kaiwing's able to react, Eminem should be safe from it anyway. The rest of the team, fairly tanky, in which case Luden's as well as Storm Surge, not the biggest concern.
Oh, Jimmy and maybe getting aggressive here. He does spot out Enso with the sweeper. Celestial has been popped, but the Rakan, so much mobility, will be able to make it out. Importantly, Wako has picked up his 2 core items, but of course it is matched by Eminem.
Yeah. And in a straight stat stick of a battle, it will be Eminem winning that one. Ooh. Jimmy is going to be caught out, but is able to close or use so many gap closes that he's able to just get on out of there, and that is going to be Paranoia down. Now, importantly, of course, Akali ult going down means that there's a lot of threat now off the Rift, but the Nocturne ult does mean that this mid lane tower is able to take some damage. Nice route by Wako.
It feels like 2 minutes away. This third dragon fight will be very, very crucial. J-Team need to put a stop to this dragon stacking or going to find themselves in trouble. Jax just picked up his Titanic second.
Yep.
Kind of like it.
Looks like Frozen Heart might be what he's looking for third.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're Jax at this stage, your ultimate's pretty much enough MR to not have to worry too much about Minji anyway, and the rest of the damage is all physical. And some true damage, of course, coming through from Hanabi if he does go all out.
And Waku, you know, despite their team being not in the best spot, has found himself with a lot of gold. Actually, almost has the most in the game. So it's going to be a lot on him to go big in this next fight. They really do need to stop this dragon stacking. I think if Frank pick up this third dragon, then it's going to be really, really difficult for J-Team to get back into the game. And maybe importantly as well, if Minji can just pick up some shutdowns here, it would be really big because there is magic resist already coming in. The Wit's End looks like it's coming on the Varus. Obviously some MR picked up by Gemini already. And so Minji really runs the risk of being a non-factor in this game completely if he doesn't get some gold soon.
Wit's End or Jack Show? What do you reckon?
I think it'll be Wits first. Yeah.
I know a lot of AD carries have been liking the Jack Show.
Yeah, I think it's normally Terminus Jack Show if you're...
Okay.
I think you delay it till fourth, but we'll see.
Going to get knocked up there, of course. Should be fairly safe. Wako actually going to have to commit that Feather Storm. Gemini now, they're very, very deep in there. Jiang not going to be able to land with the counter-strike as Jimian is in that Shroud. Hanabi being looked at, but very, very tanky, of course, here on the Cassante. One-man Shockwave onto Kaiwing here on Time Kench. Won't do a whole lot. Nice double knockout, but it should be this mid lane tower now. Going over. Frank continuing to find advantages here, bit by bit. Attention should now go towards this dragon. Minji does have teleport available. Hanabi does not.
I feel like with that, it is just this third dragon that's going to go over to Frank. So now dire straits for J-Team. They lost a lot there. They're going to lose even more as that third dragon now gets picked up. So that fourth Dragon Soul will be threatened. Admittedly, I feel like the Dragon Soul isn't the most powerful here.
But sure, it does make Akali a lot more annoying to deal with.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, as you said, it's not too impactful otherwise. Do you remember when Chemtech Dragon first came out and it just turned everyone into Scion?
Yeah, that was broken.
Got quickly removed.
And I think everyone hated the map too, right? I think that was the thing. Hold that thought though, Jimmy. He's got a big flank.
Jimmy does have a flank. He's going to be able to get charmed up here.
Oh, he hits the Shuriken.
Yeah, it does hit the Shuriken. Wako's not long for this world. He's going to go down. Golden does go Jimmy in. The fear will connect, but Kongyue will not want to be in the middle of 5 men, and there's going to be Wako now going down. Importantly, Jimmy is low, so it is mostly a 4v4, but Wako being the strongest member on the Rift for J-Team and him being down doesn't fare well for the side of J-Team. Of course, Hanabi leading the charge. He's not too scared of most damage. Admittedly, Eminem will be able to do some to him, but Jimian, despite being low, does find a Shuriken, is going to be able to survive. Gets into that Shroud, and Kongyue is going to have to turn around, and so very, very low, and a lot of CCs coming through. Jiang picking up Minji. Kongyue will also be taken down by Jimian on the outskirts of that fight. And with another 2 members going down, it's 3 dead. It's going to be this Baron now picked up for Frank.
Yep, so much DPS coming through. They will be able to grab this, and wow, Timo did a lot of damage in that fight. No, obviously it was mainly Jimian, I think, who went big in that fight. He found that really nice engage onto Wako while he still didn't have his ult. Also connected to Shuriken, so that's your 2-item Xayah that you were kind of hoping would turn these fights around, but just the accelerated Akali is too hard to deal with. We'll get another look at it now. Found a fantastic flank, and yet Wako doesn't have the ult, and the flash was too late. It was after the Shuriken had already connected. And nice here as well to make sure that Jimian can get out with that E. Impressive as well here. You know, I thought this was going to be a mistake maybe going in onto Enso, but he just barely manages to live. Causes Kongyue to overcommit with the flash, and then really just nowhere to go for the rest of J-Team as they are just picked off by the rest of Frank.
Yeah. I think twice this game now I've seen Wako hold on to flash for slightly too long. I'm also somewhat curious as to why Enso didn't just immediately pop that ultimate and stop Akali from one-shotting the AD carry, but anyway, back to live. It is going to be a fight started by Kaiwing, although a lot of damage onto Hanabi. Is he going to be actually able to go down? He does have to flash away, but will survive, and in comes Kongyue. It's a massive combo, and It's all on to Eminem. Does get eaten up here by that Devour from Time Kench and actually comes out forward. But Enzo's able to find the charm. They're able to find the knock-up. And things have gone from bad to worse now for the side of Frank. As it's going to be Wako who's able to find his footing in this team fight. Gemini going to be looked at next. Is not going to get that crash down over the wall. And Hanabi finding himself a double kill here. That does eliminate 3 of these Barons. And a lot of gold now given over to J-Team.
Yeah, nice fight win there by J-Team, but I wonder how much it actually matters, and maybe there might be some more going down on the back end.
Does feel very strong. I'm not sure that J-Team necessarily win this, especially without Wako's damage, and they're going to have to back off.
Yeah, I wonder how much this fight actually matters. I think we should see a replay of it. I believe Eminem could have lived, but you know, a lot of those shutdowns were picked up by the Cassante, and I'm not sure those actually matter at this point, right? Because the Cassante is going to be dealt with by this Varus pretty much no matter what. I think if that gold had gone onto Wako or onto Minji, maybe it makes a bigger difference.
Both 80 carries now, 3 on Power Spike. This really is sort of the part of the game now that if J-Team want to come back, Wako's going to have to go huge. Flash will be back up roughly at the same time as this Dragon. And importantly, the entire Baron buff has gone amiss. 300 gold Baron power play isn't really all that impactful.
We have seen Wako go pretty big on the Xayah before. If there is a man that can do it, it's him. But it's a pretty tall order. 30 seconds away.
By the way, Gemini has built a Frozen Heart and then he's just having a garage sale for the rest of his items.
Yeah, look, honestly, I'm down for it.
I think I would have liked to seen a Locket, because you've already got a Frozen Heart here on Jax.
Yeah, we got the Locket on Kaiwing.
Recurn now is completed by him in saying that, but I don't know that you're that worried about Minji's damage. I think possibly building against Wako might have been more impactful. I think if anyone here on the side of J-Team are going to get it done, it pretty much has to be Wako. Minji maybe finding a big ult onto Jimmy and or Eminem can be impactful, of course, but Minji very, very poor, as you see there.
Yeah, those Frank Solaners have a lot of gold. And
Jimmy's found himself a Minji again. That does pop out the ult. There's teleports coming down. Jimmy actually might be in trouble as he's getting a little bit surrounded. Actually, the teleport stopped there by Hanabi. It's going to be 1 kill found. It's Minji going down immediately. Kongwei's trying to run away. Wako does arrive. He's going to get some feathers down, but Kaiwing's coming forward. Isn't going to be able to connect with that knock-up, at least onto Wako. Is going to connect, though, onto Kongwei, who does go down. 1v1 up in top lane, but this should be the Dragon Soul going over to J-Team. Sorry, to Frank, as J-Team are able to find a kill actually there onto Eminem. Wako just managing to survive. Well played by him, but it still should be this Dragon Soul picked up from Frank. So, well, the kill's nice. Shouldn't be all that meaningful.
Yeah, it looks like it will just go over. And now with a sizable gold lead and that Dragon Soul, you feel like Frank are in full control of this game. That Baron is spawning in just another minute and 40 seconds. And it's going to be so hard for J-Team to contest it. Resets will come through. We'll get a replay of it. So Minji once again caught out on the side lane. TP comes through, but it was cancelled by the Jax on the top side. So now it's just a 2v4 pretty much. And they have to try find some way to get out. Flash was committed onto Minji. Immediately taken out. And Kongwei, he really did his best. Spell shit at the Varusol. But then I believe did die here. Just getting caught up in all the CC. So 2 members went down. They somehow managed to trade back on Eminem. Let's see how it happened. There's already a lot of feathers on the ground. I guess Wako just does a lot of damage at this point. Yeah, ooh. Nice played. Back to live though. Baron less than a minute away. It is Frank that have all the control around it already. And if you're J-Team, how do you win this fight? It pretty much, again, has to come from Wako. I think it might even be best just to ball him and peel instead. Maybe you could go forward with the Kongwei, you know, the Nocturne Ori ult, and maybe they'll try again.
Yeah, they are going forward. It was a very, very nice ult here, admittedly, but it's going to be all devoured up by Time Kench. But Hanabi's finding his way here onto Eminem. Does land the knock up. Eminem does go golden here with that Zhonya's. Is going to be able to flash away. All out comes through. Eminem might not be long for this world, but what can they do on the other side? It's Jiang who's in the middle of three of them. 80 carry does go down here on the side of Frank, and it's going to be Jiang getting very, very low. Jimmy really not finding his way in this team fight. Kyvan goes down. It's a double for Hanabi. Those 2 kills earlier look like they were very impactful as the shutdown comes through. Baron over to J-Team. It's a 3-for-0 clean team fight and a lot of damage coming out of Kasante.
Yeah, I think Hanabi actually 1v5 this fight, despite Eminem, managing to live for some time there with the Tom. He wasn't actually able to DPS. He was just CC'd by Kasante over and over and over. And yeah, I mean, your full tank champion dealing the most damage in a team fight, that seems fine. All right, Baron will be picked up.
I do have a bit of a question mark around Eminem's build. Now, I understand he needs to survive, but he is lacking a lot of damage, and you saw it there in that fight where he's just wailing on Hanabi and really not getting much progress at all. But it's going to be this Baron picked up by J-Team. Gemini not going to find his way into the pit.
We'll see it again. So Nocturne Oriole comes out. Eminem, he's flash eaten, and it looks like he's going to be safe, but he turns around into the waiting arms of Hanabi, and I think he does actually have damage here. I just think he doesn't get to hit. So he spins at Zhonya, flashes away, immediately CC'd up again. Like, how many auto attacks does he even get off here? I don't really think he gets that many. He's just dead in pretty much no time at all. Hanabi is just a 1v3ing the back line with, yeah, somehow a full tank champion dealing 5,400 damage. It wasn't even close. So really nicely played by him. And that is a lot of gold into J-Team's pockets. Now, the more on Wako is going to make it a lot harder for Jimmy to kill him. Jimmy has a death cap, but doesn't have a void, so it can be hard to get through that.
There's also a lot of magic damage here coming out of this Varus as well, so that Moore has double, really, the effectiveness as it perhaps would have. Eminem as well. He's actually down 2 levels now onto Wako after recent events, and J-Team have found themselves at a gold advantage. Jimmy really feeling like he has it all to do. Doesn't have void stuff though, so dealing with Wako not going to be very easy. Of course, killing Minji on repeat. Ooh, is an option, but
they're just going to 5-man it down mid.
Yeah, this is going to be hard to be teleporting in, but should be at least one tower picked up undoubtedly as Jimmy still waits around in the wings.
Oh,
Nocturne will come through. He is going to be able to eat up Eminem and is going to be fed away. And as the fight does break out, Jiang's in the middle of 4 of them, and Hanabi's in the middle of 5. He's able to survive for now, and Jimmy really not being able to find a way in here. Looks like it will just be the Paranoia and Devour traded. And now attention towards this bot side. Coming away first there. Jiang, though, looking for a trade as he's got that Counter-Strike coming out. Is going to be able to get immediately bursted by Wako.
Yeah, it was taken out. Just bit off a bit more than he could shoot there. Thought he could go for Kongwei, was punished.
Oh, Enso.
And Gemini, he might be next.
Yeah, Gemini getting very, very low. Enso finding a lot of CC onto him, but not quite got the damage. As looks like Minji will be returning to base. Does have teleport available for him. We'll use it here on that cannon wave. Homing. Trying to survive. They really need Eminem to recall. Running out of mana completely. Will be inhib number 1 going down for the time being. As still another 30 seconds remains on this Baron. No real minion wave to speak of though, so recalls will come through. It's just the bottom lane inhib.
Bottom lane inhib is going to be important for the Baron later on, but for this upcoming Elder in a minute, it isn't really going to change anything. So I would say the teams are coming into this next fight fairly even, although Wako is insanely strong, has both his sums, has basically all the items he needs, and I think Jimmy still won't be able to kill him without that Void, although he does have the Blinding Jaws. That adds a lot of extra damage as well. It really does come down to this. Minji really still in Struggle City with his build. Does pretty much no damage, I think, but he doesn't really need to. All he needs to do is force out that Tami with the Nocturne Orioles. Hanabi, he is a bit far up, but he's a very tanky
he's found
boy.
Jimmy, oh, wow, is able to cancel out that all-out with the... Oh, wow, okay. Deval comes out, a lot of dodges for that shockwave as Hanabi's actually finding himself getting very, very low here. Eminem finding his way onto this full tank Kasante is going to be able to flash away as Hanabi does get connected with by a piercing arrow. And a lot of low health bars, but importantly it's Wako who remains at full HP, pushed up in the lane, double buff active, and Elder Dragon spawning in 10 seconds. Eminem likely gonna have to at least hit the wave to get his health back.
Yeah, Eminem lost his flash
now
there as
turning
well.
Though, trying to get Jiang caught out after that teleport, but the leap strike to Kaiwing will ensure his safety.
I think if you're J-Team, all you do is you keep this wave pushed up, you wait for your ults to come back, and then you can probably just force this Elder I think with Eminem having no flash, it's going to be so difficult for him to play this fight. You're going to have to think that Hanabi will just be chasing him around the whole time.
Sure.
Oh, but will we see the fight happen here? There is no Cassante ult, which I think actually is a pretty big cooldown based off what has been going on in these fights. So maybe do want to wait for that, though J-Team currently the ones in full control. And they should be able to start up the Elder if they want. Might be safer to force a fight first, though.
Absolutely. Wako, of course, level 18 to Eminem's level 16 means there is a discrepancy in the AD carry power based on levels. There's also an item advantage for Wako, despite how the start of this game was looking. And 6 Void Grubs means that this tower will go down nearly immediately. Gemini on the flank is found out by Hanabi. They're really struggling. Jimmy hasn't been able to find a way into any of these fights recently. Looking for Enso, does land a lot of damage there, but Battle Dance makes sure he's still safe. And it's a second inhib now going down to the team of J-Team. Does feel like now attention towards this Outer Dragon. It should be lightly picked up from them, but Frank will not want to just give this over for free and likely will head down there, contest it. There is a teleport available on Jimmy in if the base has to be defended, but certainly want to try and get this fight over and done with so they can stop the super minions that are currently pushing into their base from the bot lane.
Okay, here
on
it
the
comes.
side, it is going to be Devour coming out, and Kongyue trying to deal with Gemini. Hanabi on the other side, though, he's going to get blown up. Hanabi's actually going to be able to be taken out. All Out comes out, and his last hit by Jimmy in is going to be a 4v4. Jungler, importantly, though, is down for the side of Frank here. So any Baron Elder flip should go the way of J-Team.
Yeah, and the waves are crashing on the base, so Jimmy has to base. He does have his TP, though.
Also
J-Team,
got Void.
They might just DPS it down right now. Jimmy, he needs the TP in.
Yeah, so he's teleporting in now. There are 2 minion waves, though. This fight has to start and end immediately. Jiang's trying to find his way onto Kongyue. Won't be able to, but Jimmy's coming in. He's found himself in the middle of the fight. Wako does have to use that Feather Storm very, very early, and Jimmy has found his way and eliminated Wako from the fight. Waves are crashing in their base, but the fight's won. Outer Dragon will be picked up here from Frank, as Kongyue are slowly running away here from the Jax.
He's limping away, but I think he'll be able to do it. And the Elder was picked up. It gets on, I think it's on all 5 members, or at least on 4 members. A base tower was lost, but I think definitely a worthy trade. And now it comes down to how much can Frank get with this.
Should be Baron.
Yeah, it should definitely be Baron. And then can they actually make a lot of headway, though? Because those 2 inhibs being down is definitely going to slow things for them. As we get a replay of this fight. I think very nice flank here from Jimmy. I think he just flashed the wall. Yeah, I love that. Flashes in, and then Wako was so close to carrying this fight. He almost just one-shots Jimmy in here, but dies just barely too soon.
Yeah, and Storm Surge.
True. 9-0 on the Sakali, and the Void stuff being picked up really was the difference, right? Was able to kill the Xayah just in time. And now this Baron will be picked up. I think you can just put Jax pushing out maybe the bot lane. Yeah, that bot lane inhib has respawned. So it's only mid inhib, which doesn't really matter at this stage of the game since those mid waves will be cleared anyway. But obviously some of that Elder time was spent doing that Baron. So that means that maybe we could go to another Elder here.
Yeah, it is feeling like we will. I don't think Frank really have it in them to win here unless JT misstep. Now, importantly, Wako losing both of his sums, so if a fight does happen during the duration of the Baron buff, it would be Frank favoured in that regard, as Eminem does get his back up. But we're seeing, I think, as the game progresses, Frank are getting better and better at dealing with this Nocturne Oriole combo. I think each time it's obviously Kaiwing just eating up Eminem on the Varus, and the rest of them have actually found their way to dodge a lot of the engages.
Yeah, Eminem's looking pretty strong now. Has that Terminus completed as well. Full build, though, for Wako, who's got the BT.
Yeah, I think the Terminus is really good here because 99% of the time he's just wailing on the Cassante. Certainly will be getting 10 auto attacks off at a time, and that does mean you'll be able to stack up that passive, which does more damage to everyone else on the team. So really, Hanabi actually has more work cut out from here to try and avoid just giving over free damage and armor and magic resist and everything else over to Eminem. Obviously, Terminus synergizes very, very well with Varus.
Minji did lose his flash there. Could make that team fight a lot more difficult, especially if it takes place, you know, out in the open as opposed to under the towers. That Flashless Orianna definitely a target for this pretty much full build Akali.
Out of gone now.
Yeah, Baron still remains for another minute, and I think they want to try break some base towers, but I'm not sure it's going to happen.
Harvey going forward is a big engage here. Eminem is going to be safe. He's going to have a massive shield coming out of that Devourer. As Hanabi, though, he's still in the middle of the team. He's getting absolutely demolished here by Eminem, and Terminus is absolutely stacked. Jimmy on the flank. Waka going to have to force out that cleanse, and he's going to get stunned up. Does have Feather Storm, and there's a lot of damage. Enso finding a lot of charms, but Jimmy is able to secure that. It's now a 3v5 in J-Team's base as Jiang continues on forward. Kongyue is going to get taken out, and Wako has nowhere left to run. Jimmy in with the perfect execution all game long. Frank, after 44 minutes, are able to take down J-Team 2-0.
Ends up being a pretty destructive victory here, 11-0 on the Akali. And while there were plenty of signs of life for J-Team, Frank end up bringing it over the finish line. And again, I think this is another one of those pretty important wins, right? Getting that 2-0 up against one of those other, you'd have to say, playoffs contended teams. This